The election results have put the focus back on revdi or freebies, and Madhya Pradesh and Telangana show us how elections are not necessarily won on revdis alone.
मेरी बहनों, आपने जो प्यार दिया, आशीर्वाद दिया, जो स्नेह दिया, उस आशीर्वाद को मैं बार बार नतमस्तक होकर प्रणाम करता हूँ.
If you look at what has been the problem a little bit in India and more so specifically in Madhya Pradesh is about, say, women workers. And we have, why women workers are important is because women workers are almost equal, like almost 8.5% of the total electorate, and they also have been turning out in large numbers. And in Madhya Pradesh, they almost the turnout was higher than even the men voters. And women, there have been a little bit of distress amongst women, particularly in the rural areas. Amongst the people, women who are working in Madhya Pradesh, if you look at the rural part of Madhya Pradesh, then so the geography is divided into rural and urban. So if you look at rural Madhya Pradesh, among the women who are working, almost 58% are working as helpers in household enterprises. What this exactly means is that if there is somebody who is doing some small chota business in his house, then this woman is working in that household enterprise. So while it is a great thing that she's supporting whoever in the household in the work, but all this is without any remuneration. She doesn't get paid for that. So she participates in the economic activity or generation of economic activity, but doesn't get paid for it. So this happens typically in circumstances where the economy is not doing very well. Women who are not been working are now part of the workforce but not getting paid. So this is a twin problem where they are not, say, at times one of the partners take care of the household and the other partner is working, but in this case the partner works and still doesn't get paid. So that is a huge distress, and this is at almost the bottom of the pyramid. Conversely, it is also very interesting that those who are employed, so there are two categories amongst workers. One is who are, say, helpers in household enterprises, and the other category is amongst the self-employed is people who are the owners themselves. So in this, the percentage of owners, women owners in rural businesses or small businesses is just 15%, whereas all India average is 27%. So, all India, you are seeing more and more businesses being run by women at the bottom of the pyramid, whereas in Madhya Pradesh, it is much lower. So while, women working without any pay is much higher than all India average. The all India average is about, 53 or whatever, and there is a 15 percentage point difference. And those employed women are much less in Madhya Pradesh compared to the all India. Employer women are much less in. So I think there is this huge problem which is captured in the periodic labor force survey of the Government of India for the year 22-23. And Madhya Pradesh, I am sure that the Chief Minister must have gone through this data to figure out what is exactly happening and why there is a need for monetary support at that level. And 1,250 rupees a month is a decent amount. It's not a huge amount, but it is an amount which the woman gets in her account as a direct benefit transfer. So I thought that was very interesting intervention and innovation. You may call it a freebie, but it is a freebie which was probably needed in Madhya Pradesh given what the data suggests. Revdis work if you properly identify why it is needed and you identify the distress that is there in the society, and then make that precise intervention. So conversely, in Telangana, it is very strange. All over, if you look at most opposition parties, they have been promising this, the reverting back to the old pension scheme, which is a defined benefit scheme, like you are going to get 50% of your lost drawn salary as a pension, and then every 6 months there is an addition to that because of the price escalation, because of what we call inflation. So in government parlance they call it dearness relief for pensioners. So every 6 months there is an increase in the last in the salary drawn, and this is a compounding effect which has a huge impact on government finances. So a great reform was done 2004, where we moved to the new pension system. Gradually more states joined the new pension system, and then suddenly you have state after state going back on this new pension system and reverting to the old is in a short term, you will save some money, but in the long term it is going to cripple state finances. In Telangana, very interestingly, Congress did not promise reverting back to the old pension system. Just say exactly 12 months back in Himachal Pradesh, everyone attributed the promise of old pension scheme and the victory of Congress in Himachal Pradesh to that promise, and which of course they have now met that promise. They have gone back to the old pension system. In Madhya Pradesh, they promised again going back to the old pension system. In Rajasthan, the Congress government already moved to the old pension system. Even in Chhattisgarh, they have moved to the old pension system. So this was seen as another freebie, freebie for particular stakeholder, which is the government employee in this case, or retired government employees. Himachal, I believe, has a large number of retired government employees, defense and retired government employees. Telangana, I'm not sure the exact numbers, how many retired government employees are there in the voter base, but then this had become almost a Congress policy that any state election you go ahead and promise this. In Telangana, did not promise. So elections are not necessarily won on Revdis was the point I was trying to make. And Telangana, they didn't promise reverting back to the old pension scheme, and then they won. And of all the 4 states which went to polls, another surprising aspect is Telangana's government finances are the best in terms of the numbers. So the salary. See, there are 3 components in a state government budget which a government has to spend, whatever be its revenues. One is salary they have to pay, one is pension they have to pay, and the third is interest on all earlier debt that the government has taken. They have to pay this. So these are called committed expenditures of the state government. So this committed expenditure as a percentage of the revenue which the state government gets, is the least in the case of Telangana. So they are better placed to actually come out with a old pension scheme. But all other states have given it, and not really Telangana. So Revdis work when they are identified well, address a particular solution. So that's what I thought. He saw the data and got the message, Shivraj and Congress, and there are so many factors, based on which elections are won. Revdis is not really the only factor. That was the limited point. I've always seen that if you resonate with the people and if you kind of understand the mood of the people, come up with, say for instance in Chhattisgarh, BJP didn't have a leader, but they changed all faces. 47 seats they introduced new faces out of the total 90 seats in Chhattisgarh. In Telangana, they brought the biggest change was a new face. So in Revdis Reddy, there is new face, a new fighting spirit, new energy in the party, where you could see him on the streets. You could see him raising issues of unemployment, of how state government exams were continuously cancelled. He talked everywhere that 17 state government organized exams were cancelled, and he captured the resentment of the youth. He spoke about it. He said that how many jobs were still vacant, etc. So I think there can be many factors, but one clear factor to my mind in Telangana was the freshness to the campaign for the Congress, a new phase, a youth phase. In Rajasthan and in Madhya Pradesh, they went with the old faces. They went with Ashok Gehlot, they went with Kamal Nath. So I think at the end of the day, people probably look for new energies, new issues, innovative ideas, a story which is a different story for the electorate, a narrative which is different than a competitor or rival's narrative. I think these were probably resonated more in Telangana than in other states for the Congress.